everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Erica with Memory Box Candle Co, and I make videos all about making and selling candles. Don't forget, if you guys are not already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I've noticed in my analytics that most people are not actually subscribed when watching, so make sure you guys subscribe and hit the little bell notification so that you're actually notified as soon as I upload a video. Today's video is going to be me going over a launch checklist for you guys to consider when you are going to be opening up your own website. Now, if you're going to be opening up an Etsy shop, this may be a little different. There are definitely still a lot of tips in here that will hopefully help you guys out if you're just going to be opening up an Etsy shop. However, there are also lots of great tips for those of you that are going to be opening up your own website as well. And for those of you that don't know, I'm in the middle of transitioning over from an Etsy shop to my own website. So these are just the list of items and things that I am preparing for as well. So I really hope that it helps you guys out. Now, I will preface this video and say that there is in no way that somebody could tell you when it's time for you to open up and when you feel comfortable to start selling. That all has to come within you, and nobody can really tell you when you are personally ready. So I did just want to preface that in this video, but this is more or less just a general list of everything that I've compiled together, that looking at this list, if you can check off all of these, then more than likely you could probably start selling. And these are in no particular order except for maybe the first couple, but after that I've just kind of thrown it all together into the list. But the first one is everybody's favorite. I know we're all gonna get so happy to hear this one, and that is the legal stuff and the tax stuff. Now, if you have been following my channel for any length of time, especially within the past few weeks, I've started to really develop more of that sense that I should have done this all from the very beginning. So if you guys haven't even started selling yet, consider yourselves lucky, because this is where you can really hone in on what you need to really get settled, figured out, and things that you need to understand when it comes to the business side. Because as much as we love to sell candles, as much as we like to make candles and eventually sell them, we can't just push ourselves to the point to just start selling them and then have no idea when it comes to the legal side of things. So legal things including business insurance, if you guys want to get an LLC, any kind of business formation, and any questions in general when it comes to any legal aspects at all. I mean, to hire a business attorney and just ask them questions is so priceless. You can get so much good information to just talk to somebody who knows what they're doing versus going on Google and trying to decipher all of the information that's out there, which is what I did in the beginning. And I thought I was doing everything right, and it turns out I wasn't. So now I am definitely trying to get that all settled now, but I wish I would have done it in the beginning. And the same thing goes with taxes too. Taxes are something that terrifies everybody, and this is something that we typically don't want to think about until when we have to think about it. So I highly recommend, a lot of times, if you guys email or call a CPA and you just say, hey, I want to ask some questions, I want to make sure that I'm doing everything right, they're more than happy to answer your questions. So you can set up a phone conversation, a 30-minute phone call, have your questions written out to ask them, and you will thank yourself so much more later on down the line. I have learned so much that I should have been doing from the beginning. I highly recommend you guys look into QuickBooks to keep track of your expenses and your income that you're getting. That is going to be extremely helpful, as well as an inventory system of some kind. You need to be able to see how much inventory you have left over at the end of the year. Again, this is more information that I have been learning as I've been going through the process. So again, I'm not an expert in any of this, so definitely contact a CPA, a local CPA who knows everything about your state that you live in, because it will vary depending on where you live. That's why any information that you do hear from people, you have no idea if it pertains to you in your particular business, in your particular state, even in your particular city. Who knows how niche it gets to, but that is definitely something that you guys need to look into doing. Number 2 is confidence in your product. This is so important. This is everything about your business, because if you don't have a safe product or you don't have a quality product, then you're gonna run into a lot of problems later on. If you have not accurately spent time to learn your product and do the proper tests, and you skip over that because you want to start selling, it may be fun initially because you can really get to the point where you can start selling your candles, which is really enjoyable and it's really rewarding, but it will give you anxiety later on if there's any problems that come up, or if you don't feel as confident in the quality of your product, or you didn't do as much testing as you probably should have. It will come back later on. So just take the time that you need to right now to make sure that you have a good performing candle, a safe candle, and quality ingredients too. Make sure that it's going to be a candle that somebody is going to want to continue buying. And yes, this can take a long time. For me personally, I took about 6 months from when I really started testing and really started getting going with candle making up until I started selling and I opened up my Etsy shop. And to be honest, looking back now, it seems a little quick. And there was still a lot that I didn't know, and there's still a lot that I'm learning to this day. So if you need to take a year and a half, whatever it is, don't feel like you are wasting your time or anything like that. All of it is experience, and all of it will just make you more confident in your product. So that is number 2, and I think it is so important. Number 3 is to make candles and prep your stock to be able to open up your Etsy shop or your website. So with this, I get tons of questions about how many different scents, how many different candles in each scent, what should I have when I first get going? And I did make a video about this a few weeks back, and I will link it above for you guys to check out. But I basically just stated in that video that I think if you are just starting out, to have 4 to 8 scents. And then when it comes to the candle sizes, I recommend to have 2 different candle sizes to start out with. It doesn't matter the sizes. I don't believe it matters to have a specific size, but just have them be 2 different sizes. And then for the amount of stock that you are going to have, I say about 4 to 6 different candles in those scents. So if you have, let's say, 6 different scents, you have 2 different sizes, and you have 4 in stock of each, if that makes sense for you guys. Again, this is in no way something that is like you have to do that. This is all just based on my experience of getting started, because I didn't want to start off with tons of inventory and not know what was going to sell. I wanted to make sure that I still had enough jars and wicks and wax to make more of whatever scent was selling the most. So in the very beginning, make sure that you do have stock so that people can buy from you, but you don't want to have such an overwhelming amount and use up all of your materials so that the scents that you know are selling, you don't have enough materials to make more of those and get those out really quickly to your customer base. So again, it's all a learning experience, and it's something that I just had to learn from the very beginning on what worked for me, and that's what worked for me, so I hope it works for you guys too. Number 4 is know your cost of goods. So cost of goods is what it takes and what it costs to make one of your candles. This is extremely important for being able to price your candles accurately so that you're able to get a good profit margin. Because as much as we love to be able to make and sell candles, it is also a business, and we want to make sure that we are also making a pretty good profit while we are doing that. I made a video recently going over how much it costs me personally to make all of my items that I sell, and I will link that above if you guys want to check out exactly how I go about doing that. But make sure that you guys spend time to figure out your cost of goods. I think there's also calculators out there, like apps that you can use to figure out your cost of goods, or spreadsheets or anything. I just do it the old-fashioned way and just do math on a calculator, which honestly is probably a little bit more difficult than just using an app to be able to figure it out, but it's just the way that I choose to do it. But as soon as you have that number, as soon as you have that cost of goods number, and you know how much it costs you to make that one candle, then you're able to accurately price your candles for what it's worth and to get a better profit margin. If you don't have that number, then there's no way to know how much to charge for your candle candle, because you won't know any numbers and it just gets really messy later on if you try to raise your prices. It's so much easier to lower your prices than it is to raise your prices, so definitely keep that in mind. A good formula to go by that I mention in all of my videos is retail price is cost of goods times 4. Wholesale price is cost of goods times 2. So that's just kind of a general overview on how you can kind of look at things. So if it costs you $5 to make a candle, you'd retail it for $20 and sell it at wholesale for $10. So that is just kind of a good general formula to go based off of, but make sure you take the time and figure out your cost of goods. Number 5 is product photography. Make sure that you are very happy with your product photos before you launch your website, because this is really what is going to be selling your product. People always purchase with their eyes before they ever read your descriptions or what it actually is. So make sure that you are having good lighting and you are editing your photos to make them really pop and stand out. I've made plenty of videos before in the past on product photography, so I will either link it in a card above or link everything in the description box below if you want to watch more videos on that. Try to aim for 3 to 4 photos or more for each of your items. I, for the longest time, only had 1 photo, and I regret that a lot because you have so many more opportunities to show so much more of the product, so why wouldn't you do that? So I highly recommend make sure that you have really, really, really good product photos. It's so important. If you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself, definitely hire somebody else to take the photos for you, because this could definitely make or break on whether or not you get sales and whether or not people want to purchase from you just based on your product photos. Number 6 goes hand in hand with product photography, and that is product descriptions. I think that product descriptions are second to the photos because that's the next thing that people want to read on. They want to look at what is the kind of wax blend that you are using. They want to look at the burn time. They want to look at how big the candle is. So make sure you are putting the measurements. I always will typically put what room is best suitable for the size of the candle. So for instance, my larger candles, I will say bedrooms and living rooms. For my smaller 10 candles, I will say, most suitable for bathrooms or smaller bedrooms, just to give them an indication of what type of room this candle should be able to fill up, so that they aren't trying to put a little candle in a huge living room and just assume that it's going to be able to fill up that room. That's just something that I like to put on there, but make sure that you guys are writing a really good product description of what your candle smells like, because there's only so much that you can put on the label of the notes and everything that are in it. But the product description is where you can really get more detail and really explain the fragrance to the customer, because the worst part about selling our candles online is that the customer is not able to smell the candle before they purchase it. So we have to use photos and words in order to get across what it smells like. So try to be as descriptive as possible. Number 7 is so important, and this is know how you're going to ship out your candles before you ever get a sale. Before you start selling, you need to know exactly how you are going to be shipping it out. Please do not open up your shop and have no shipping materials, no boxes, have no idea how the labels work or anything, and just open up, and whenever you get a sale, you'll figure it out. Please be very kind to yourself and not stress your future self out, and make sure that you have all of the shipping down prior to opening. I promise you will be so happy that you did. I always highly recommend to just do a trial session when it comes to shipping. So make sure you have all of your boxes, your shipping materials, bubble wrap, packing peanuts, tissue paper, whatever it is that you're going to be using to ship out your candles with. Do a test order and ship it to a family or a friend that lives in another state, and have them give you feedback to see how it showed up and if the candle was able to withstand the shipment without breaking. That is so important to find out. Number 8 goes hand in hand with number 7 with the whole shipping process, and that is shipping prices. So set your shipping prices for both domestic and international shipping so that you know that now before you open up your website. And you have to be asking yourself, am I going to be offering free shipping and just add the shipping cost into the price of the product? Or am I going to be charging a base shipping like $5 up until a certain point, or offer free shipping over $40, or whatever it is? You have to decide that right now prior to opening up, because you don't want to open up your website and think about it later on, because you could either be way overcharging or way undercharging, and it's so much better to get that all figured out right now before you even open. Number 9 is have a marketing plan. Before you ever open up your website, ask yourself, how are people going to be finding me? How are people going to find my products, my candles, and actually purchase from me? This is a huge part of business when it comes to actually opening up your website, is trying to get traffic to your website. So have a plan. Think of all the things that you can start doing right now before you ever open up your website. I highly recommend 2 top social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok. I truly believe that those 2 social media platforms are the most important when it comes to bringing traffic to your website in terms of free traffic where you aren't paying for anything. Yes, there's Facebook ads and Instagram ads that you guys can run, but in terms of bringing traffic to your website, Instagram and TikTok, and if you guys really want to put yourselves out there and start a YouTube channel, I recommend that as well. But just if you want to stay more on just apps and stuff like that, then definitely Instagram and TikTok. But sit down and try to think of a marketing plan before you open up your website so you don't get discouraged when you open up and you have, 0 viewers coming to your website. Definitely think about how you're going to be drawing traffic to your website. And the last and final one for today's video, number 10, is have a user-friendly website. Now, of course, on Etsy, everything is really user-friendly on Etsy, but when it comes to making your own website, it gives you more creative freedom, but it also kind of gives you more of a responsibility to think about all of these things when it comes to the customer actually shopping on your website. So you want to make it as easy and user-friendly as possible when it comes to the navigation, the way everything's laid out, the color scheme. You want to make sure it's easy on the eyes, and that people like looking at your website, and things aren't all over the place and confusing, and the categories are confusing. So I recommend to have a friend or family member, or even hire someone to look over your website and give you advice and feedback on maybe from their perspective on what you could change. And maybe have them spell check for you, because I gotta be honest, I always thought I was really good at spelling and catching mistakes. But as I have gotten more into my business, I have been a lot less, I've noticed those things a lot less. So people will be able to see that a lot more than you could. So I really recommend to just hire someone or have someone that is really good at that kind of stuff to just look over your website before you launch. But anyways, guys, these are just my tips and my checklist, so to speak, when it comes to opening up your own website. Again, this is just my personal opinion. You can follow these or not follow these. These are just something that I would recommend for you guys to make sure that you have or that you do prior to launching your website. But anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to follow me over on Instagram at MemoryBoxCandleCo. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys. Don't forget, if you guys enjoy this kind of content, make sure you subscribe down below, as well as turn on the little bell notification. Whoop! Bell notification right as I get a little notification.